Hey, Motorman here, boy. I got a tip for you this week. This is a lifesaver. If you learn nothing else, please learn this tip. If you never do any kind of training, and this doesn't take any training to master, just do this. And it is covering the brake. It takes the average person to go from the grip to the brake and to begin braking 1 to 1.5 seconds. That could mean 10, 20, 30, 40 feet, depending on how far or how fast that you're going. So the same thing with the foot brake. It's going to take 1 to 1.5 seconds to go from here to here and begin braking. If your foot is already over the brake, you're going to save at least 1 second and probably 1.5 seconds. It may not sound like a lot, but it is when, especially if you're going 40 miles an hour, you're covering 60 feet in 1 second. So I'm going to set something up and I'm going to show you the difference between covering the brakes and not covering the brakes. All right, this is what I've got set up here. 2 cones. Very easy, nothing to it. You can use anything you want to set this up. But I'm going to go down the end of the parking lot. I'm going to go down a couple of hundred feet. I'm going to accelerate to 20 miles per hour. When I think my front tire has gotten between these 2 cones, I'll apply both brakes and come to a stop. First, I'll do it covering the brake, and then I'll measure that out. I'll show you the distance, what it is, and then I'll do it without covering the brake so you can see the difference. This video is sponsored by Dairyland, an insurance company that for 70 years has offered competitive rates and quality coverage for motorcycle insurance. Dairyland wants to help get you back on the road quickly by providing complication-free coverage. Check out the link in the description below to get a quote today. You may save yourself a bunch of money with Dairyland Insurance. All right, this was a stop from 20 miles per hour while covering both brakes. We got about 18.7 feet. Now we'll try it without covering the brakes. And again, that's going to be my braking point right there. When I believe my front tire has got to that braking point, I'll then take my hand off the grip, my foot off the floorboard, and begin braking. Okay, that was without covering the brake, and let's see what the difference is. It took 10.6 feet further to stop without covering the brakes. And that's just at 20 miles per hour. This distance here could be a matter of whether you hit the vehicle you were trying to avoid or whether you didn't hit it. Obviously, if you cover the brakes, both brakes, you're going to stop a lot sooner, and the faster you go, the bigger that difference is going to be. So whenever you're out in traffic and there's a possibility that somebody could pull out in front of you, cover the brakes constantly, especially in urban riding or city riding. If you're out in the middle of nowhere, maybe you're out on an interstate, there's no traffic around, you don't have to worry about covering the brakes. But anytime there's a possibility that somebody might pull out in front of you, well, that's when you need to cover the brake. Now remember, when you're doing this, it's always good to practice in an empty parking lot you're braking, but you really don't have to practice much in order to keep your hand poised over the front brake and your foot poised over the rear brake. It is going to make the faster you go, the bigger that difference is going to be. Think about this. Like I said, at 40 miles an hour, you're covering 60 feet in 1 second. If you're not covering the brake, you've gone 60 feet before the bike even starts to stop. And that's a very long way. It's a matter of, is it going to save your life? Is it going to prevent you from hitting a car or a vehicle? Absolutely, cover those brakes. It doesn't take any practice at all. Just find what's comfortable for you, whether you like 2 fingers, 3 fingers, or 4 fingers over that front brake, and your foot should be poised over the rear brake. On a lot of sport bikes, that rear brake is right under your foot, so it makes it even easier. You're actually already covering it with your rear brake. But since so many people are used to driving a car and they just want to slam on that rear brake like you do in your car, yeah, that's not going to help you. The front brake has 95% of your stopping force, so cover both front and rear brakes. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something, and check out DairylandInsurance.com.